Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining me today. On today's episode, I wanted to talk about whiskey goals and whiskey goals for 2023. I am a big goals guy. I had a lot of goals last year that followed up on, such as creating this channel. But let's talk about what's ahead for 2023. And then hopefully, maybe this inspires you to come up with some 2023 whiskey goals yourself. Let's kick off the show. Thanks for joining me, everybody. All right. So going through 2023 whiskey goals, I think it's important to have goals, and I think it's important to say those goals out loud, make yourself a little more accountable to them. So I have 3 goals for 2023 that I wanted to discuss. The first one is meet more whiskey people in person. So that was one of my big 2022 goals. And through that, going to Whiskey Weekend, going to the Junkies Pours in the Park, going to Perry's My Bourbon podcast event in May, trying to find those, pick and choose which ones that could fit the schedule, balance with family life. But within each one of those, I got to meet 50, 100 people each time and just had an absolute blast. I want to pursue that feeling even more in 2023. Now, going through the calendar, that looks like it's going to be more easier said than done. But that is one of my 2023 whiskey goals, is to meet more whiskey friends. So that's the inspiration behind the channel, and that's going to be the goal for 2023 as well. So hopefully I get to see you. Now, the second one, I had to make sure I worded it properly. I spend way too much money on bourbon. Evidence behind me. And it is a hobby I really enjoy, though. So, as much as I want to say, I can buy less bourbon, it's not probably going to be that easy. Or I may buy less bottles, but then those bottles are more expensive and I actually don't buy more, save any money or anything. So my number 2 goal for 2023 is to at least be more selective. I think I always struggle with a little bit of that FOMO, like that fear of missing out. And I want to try everything. I'm just naturally curious. I want to see what something tastes like. And unless I taste it, then that's just never fulfilled. So that causes me to buy definitely more than I need, but also some like questionable decisions where, maybe I saw reviews and they were lukewarm on something. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe it'll match my profile. Maybe it's something different for me, only to then be disappointed by it. Now you can actually go back into the channel and pretty much see everything I bought from, October on. You can see how much I spent on bourbon in the last 3 months. And those are just going to be, content that I could like make videos of. I didn't do every single barrel that I got my hands on or every single group pick. So you can then add up that and at least see the floor of what I spent. But my goal is to be more selective in 2023. I need to figure out what that means, though. I think that means not needing every group pick that comes out, or not needing a 5th bottle of the same brand that I have when I have 2 unopens already. Like, I don't need that 5th one then. Something like that, just to be a bit more selective and strategic with how I'm spending my money, and honestly, how I'm using my space. The space is a bigger commodity than anything these days. So being more selective is goal number 2. Goal number 3, I've been into bourbon now for about 6 years, like really into it. I was drinking before then, drinking on the rocks, having a sip by the fire on a big thing of ice cubes, something like that. It was as a variety for when I would drink beer or when I would drink wine. Now, at some point in my journey, I gave up beer, and then that is when I leaned heavily into bourbon. And then in doing so, discovered how much I loved it, and then the rabbit hole got deeper and deeper and deeper. And I also found out that rabbit hole is bottomless. So unfortunate for me, but kind of fortunate for me as well. But within that journey where I fell in love with bourbon and I got to know every distillery and I understand the characteristics of each distillery and, have a lot of fun doing these things blind, I cannot do the same with any other variety of whiskey around the world. So I got a shelf of scotches up here. I technically was into scotch before I got into bourbon. Um, but I can't go around the different regions and understand the characteristics and navigate what I'm tasting in the same way that I can bourbon. So, with that in mind, one of the 2023 goals that I have is to drink more whiskeys, more Irish, more Scotch, more Japanese, uh, you know, go across the whole globe. Let's just explore everything when it comes to the world of whiskey. And I think 2023 is the year that I really get serious about that journey. So, with that in mind, I am curious. Let me know in the comments, what are some of your 2023 whiskey goals? Are you going to try to meet more whiskey people, do more meetups, do more bottle shares? Are you going to try to buy less? Are you going to try to drink less? I think there's always going to be room to have a goal on a hobby that is technically going to be potentially lifelong. So lay those goals out there and let's hear them. Put them down on paper, put them down on writing. And, when you blast them out in the world, that holds you a bit more accountable too. So maybe you'll follow up on them. Well, thanks for joining me for that little video. You can also go to a prior live stream. It'll have a wheel on the thumbnail. And Kelsey, Darrell, and I discussed all these as well. And you can see what Kelsey and Darrell discussed as their 3 whiskey goals for 2023 as well. All right. Well, thanks for joining, whiskey friends. I'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.